Hey, so I've already filmed a review on My Adventures with Superman, but I was rambling too much. So here I'd like to try to, structure it a bit more. So here's my review of My Adventures with Superman. The show opens up with Clark trying to grab his kite. He's a young kid and he can't do it. But when he sees somebody in danger, he sees their car about to crash, all of a sudden he has the power to go over there and stop it. And I think that's a really good first introduction because after that he then goes and gets the kite. It's a good way of showing the audience that his powers could be useful to him, but what's always inspired him is humanity, the others around him, and that's what's most important to him. And that's a really good way to start it off while also keeping that childlike wonder that a young boy would have, suddenly figuring out he has powers without any logical reason thereof. Later we cut forward and it just shows Clark trying to have a normal day. He knows he's different because, as seen later, he knows about the spaceship, but he just wants to have a normal day because he's always viewed himself as human. Deep down, he really is just a boy from Kansas, so he doesn't want to try to push himself towards this alien persona. So he's trying to have a normal day, and we see that. We see his struggles with his abilities that he still doesn't really understand. But we also see a new character introduced. We see Lois, Lewis, however it's pronounced, and she wants to push herself to the extreme. She's passionate about her job and the story she goes after. It's a nice way of introducing the characters as almost opposites, so they work well together when they meet later. We've we establish things like that so early on with Superman trying to have a normal day, but instead saving a cat, which is just, iconic Superman stuff. Lois waking up and immediately wanting to go after bettering herself for another day, chase after things that matter to her. So later on, when they do meet, because they're interns at the same job now, it makes sense. You're not just like, oh, they just threw these two characters together, which it can often feel like with love interests, but here, it's not like that. It's they genuinely earn their moment. They earn to have these characters start crushing on each other and everything. And it's also a great way to set up the plot. The plot being that Livewire, which great first villain, I love the design and almost everything about Livewire, had stolen weapons and robots from some sort of military base, and Lois wants to chase that story. So, of course, she gets Clark to help her, but she does not tell him that, she lied and the boss doesn't want them chasing the story. It's a good way of showing her ambition and also a good way of getting Clark involved with this. Do you really think he would know about something like this without that? And that's probably something they're going to lean on for most of his knowing about for most of the future of the series, which is pretty good because, after all, he's an alien. I mean, yeah, but he's also kind of just human. He can't know about everything. Other than just getting him in to know about the situation, it also allows for these character dynamics to clash when he finds out that they've been lying and show their differences in morality, while also allowing both characters to grow in the end through Lois apologizing and Clark coming to a complete understanding and wondering, would he have really helped? Throughout the plot, it gives us more of a chance to explore Metropolis as a whole, which honestly kind of feels like its own character almost. They did it so well. The way everything looks, the way that they have like connections to people, and they already are showing us little side characters that seem to have emotional connections and stuff. They clearly care about the city itself just as much as they care about the main characters, who they've focused so much time and effort on making sure they bounce off of each other well to tell a compelling story, which is really nice. Then, moving forward, this plot actually introduces Slade, which very interesting first like main villain choice it seems, as his past in the military is going to allow for interesting work with the Suicide Squad or Task Force X, which they tease later on. He's not quite Deathstroke yet, and you can see that in his design. There's no mask, but you get the black and orange military-esque design, meaning in the future, I almost guarantee he's going to get experimented on and we're going to recreate his origin story. So they're already setting up so much. I mean, even if you wanted to look at small details, there's a Mazotech being set up with signs and all that. And then, of course, they want to dive more into Superman as a whole. In the beginning, when we first see him do the superpowers, he has that childlike wonder, right? But of course that leads to questions. That leads to, well, who is Superman? Which is a common theme throughout this two-part premiere. Well, who is he as a person? Even he doesn't know, and he needs to explore himself. But he's afraid to. As you know, it's the adventures of a normal man in the title. He wants to wake, he wakes up and he wants to be normal, but he can't fully just do that. He has no understanding of himself, and they show that in really interesting ways. I mean, the way he's so questionable about everything that is him, and how he doesn't even understand on the ship what his father is saying. Jor-El, I think, is the name, because it's Kryptonian. He's so distanced from who he is as a person, but he has to learn that if he's going to be any more outgoing, if he's going to be Superman, and things are going to work with Lois and how their characters work together. It's all connected in a really nice way, but it's not as deep as I'm really making it sound. It's still cute, it's lighthearted, it's bright, it's everything you would want from Superman. I mean, there's no evil Superman, there's none of that. It's just straight up good guy Superman. It's what you expect, it's what you want. Not even mentioning that the story is brought in through an amazing animation style, which is just honestly brilliant. It leads to incredible action scenes featuring the likes of Slade, which has a fight scene I really recommend you just go watch now. I can't do it justice. Superman fighting robots. It's also smoothly animated and makes for brilliant action. So not only is there brilliant action, amazing animation, really, really good character designs and motivations, but it's all around a well-written, fun story. I mean, I highly recommend watching it. I absolutely loved it. Bye.